to do a quick video. Now, today we've come out to the seaside to try and get a few long exposure shots, but initially what we're doing, because the tide's actually on its way out, it's going to sort of scout out a few areas, some lovely groins here, some nice little features that might be able to pick out. The waves look fairly good at the moment, so hopefully it's going to come out okay, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, so come and join us for a bit of a wander, and we'll grab some shots as the sort of tide comes back in, but we'll probably sort of, this video will be more sort of a few little sort of odds and sods as we go through, bigger gallery at the end as normal, so do hang on for the end and sort of watch that, so hopefully get something quite interesting. We'll be getting the filters out, but getting the tripods out in a bit as well. So initially though, bit of a scout down the coastline, see what we can find, and try and sort of pick out some spots ready for later. We've been here a couple of times in the past as well, and it is quite a nice little spot to actually wander around and sort of get a few different shots. And it's not just of the coast, there's actually some nice bits sort of further actually into the town itself. But today we're going to be concentrating on a bit of coastal, trying to get the long exposure stuff in there, possibly even try and get a little bit of fine art look to it, but we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, hopefully conditions will work okay. It's going to be partly cloudy, which might work quite well in our favour. Hoping to get some sort of that sort of 1 minute exposure, stuff like that. Possibly a bit longer depending on what the light does, but hopefully we'll get some nice interesting shapes. And looking at what I'm seeing at the moment, I think yeah, there might be some chance, some really quite nice waves coming in as well. So some nice sort of smooth sort of effects from it, nice long exposure sort of look, and hopefully we'll get some nice black and whites. I think the light today, tried a few sort of test snaps, and it seems to be a case of the light seems to sort of give it a black and white feel, even though you're taking it in colour. So I think a lot of moody black and white, lovely long exposure, nice sort of creamy seas to it. It's going to work quite well, but we'll see what we can find. Get a few more shots off as we sort of wander down. Let's just snap in first, get some ideas of what sort of compositions will work, so come back when the tide's coming in and get the proper shots we want in long exposure. Always helps. So you're basically sort of doing a bit of pre-work, so you know what to expect rather than sort of panicking because the tide's coming in. You're limited on time, and it saves you the hassle of not really knowing what you're going to take as you're sort of setting up for the shot. Now the clouds themselves are actually quite nice, but it's a really weird light. It feels quite late in the day, even though it's not. It's like sort of 11 in the morning. Really quite a weird feel to the atmosphere. I don't think there's sort of any rain around. It's just really sort of heavy cloud. But back over the way up towards Flamborough, with the beautiful white cliffs, they're bathed in light. So yeah, really weird sort of mix of conditions at the moment. So hopefully it's going to work out. But yeah, I'm thinking black and white, lots of sort of mood and sort of contrast coming through. I think it'll actually work about the best for us today. But yeah, have a bit of a play anyway. So the kit I'm going to be running today, fairly straightforward. I've got my regular OM1 12100 on. Got a magnetic filter ring already attached. Now when I'm actually set up with the tripod, I'll probably have a play. I've got sort of 4-stop, 6-stop and 10-stop filters. I've also got the sort of the polarising filter, which I think might work quite well, because where we are, basically the coastline, the light's coming straight across it, so it'll help us out a little bit with that side of it. So hopefully it'll work quite well for that, and if we can do it, don't know whether it'll work or not, incorporate some nice reflections in there, and sort of, I don't think we're going to get much cloud movement. The forecast was going to be sort of reasonably breezy, but it just doesn't seem to be, so the cloud's hanging on. But I might have a bit of a play. I've seen Gary Goff do some bits and bobs where he actually sort of blends the sky out in Photoshop. I might have a play, might not. We'll see how it goes on that. But definitely, this is going to be the kit of choice today. Be doing a few handheld shots, but mostly the long exposure is going to be the tripod. Although I can handhold with this up to about sort of 40 seconds. Pushing it past that is a little bit too much, especially in these sort of conditions. So yeah, tripod will be coming out when we've done the scout round. So that's the sort of thing that I'll be running today anyway, so give you some idea what sort of kit I'll be on. Settings wise, fix the ISO at 200, base ISO. F-stop, depends on what I'm doing, I'll probably be sort of around about the F8 sort of mark. And like I say, anything up to a minute on the exposures. But the initial shots, might throw a couple of live NDs through there as well, so looking about 6 to 10 second exposures. Again, like I say, it's going to be a lot of black and white today, but it's just the mood of it. I think it works quite well. Now the reason I like coming to a place like this, you've got stuff like that behind us. These groins form a fantastic leading line. You can have a real bit of fun with them, sort of laying it out, because they're different from either side. So depending on how you sort of photograph them, sort of just spin you around, just make out sort of that one in the distance there. The way that they're actually sort of constructed, they are sort of slightly different side to side, so you can have a bit of fun with sort of laying them out, use as natural sort of leading lines. Some of these have got the marker post on the end as well. Now there was one down here with actually a wonky marker post top on it, which was quite a nice little character, but there seems to be just a post there now a bit further up, so I think that one's actually disappeared in some of the recent storms. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, was quite a nice little feature, but like I say, that's gone now, so we'll see if they actually do put a new top on it. But so we reached sort of the far end of the sort of the beach area now, and hopefully we've sort of got a couple of ideas where we're going to sort of pitch up when the tide starts to come back in. Now I've probably got a good 3 hours, I think it is, before we sort of reach sort of mid-tide, which is really where I want to be. So you're not being chased off the beach, but you've got a bit of interest from the waves coming in. So hopefully that'll work quite well, but gives enough time to sort of have a coffee, sort of regroup, grab the tripods out of the van, and then come and set up. They've actually made it right the way down to the bottom, where sort of essentially all the sort of sea defences stop, and you've got some incredible erosion on the cliffs behind us. But if I just spin around, I don't know whether you can make those out, but some fantastic patterns as the sea's coming in onto the beach behind us. Works really well, sort of standard sort of aperture at f8, or run it up at long exposure, about a 1 second exposure on live ND. I think it really works quite nicely. So yeah, took a couple of snaps of that, but we've kind of cased out where we're going to be now, so got probably sort of about another 2.5 hours or so before sort of tide starts to come in properly. So I'm going to head back up, grab a coffee, and go and grab the tripods and start setting up some bits. So what I'll do, once I've got a bit set up, I'll talk you through some of the settings that I'm using and sort of try and talk you through the composition a little bit. I'm not going to go too technical, but to give you an idea of what I'm seeing and sort of how I'm seeing it. Right, so we've had some lunch, it's a couple of hours later. The tide is, as you can see, rolling in. So I'm going to set up a couple of shots now. Got some nice moody cloud now as well. The cloud's actually sort of done what I hoped it would do, so I don't know if you can make that out, but you've got almost like a bit of a flatness to it. And that'll help actually sort of work on the mood. It's not moving particularly quick, which would be nice to actually get some really smooth skies out of it, but it should be enough to actually get some interest out of it. So I'll get set up, we'll get some shots in. Okay, so I've set up the camera hopefully about right. Basically what I'm doing, got my levelling head on the tripod, and basically just set everything so it's all nice and neutral, so everything should be lined up properly. Now hopefully, if everything goes fruition, like I say, you've got ISO 200, just point you down towards the camera, there we go, ISO 200, f8. I'm going to play around with the settings, but first of all I've got to get the composition about right, play with it a little bit and sort of get everything sort of set how I want it to. Now what I'm thinking is going to have the groins coming along here, going to be zoomed in, marker post over on the left third there, some nice moody cloud, so sort of pitch that up, nice swirly seas, so nice sort of smoothness to it, and try to sort of get that to bring a bit of feel to it. Black and white edit. I mean, yes, the top of the marker post is red, but I may sort of play with that in post. But let's have a bit of a play with this, and I'll pop the shot up now for you. So I don't think that came out too bad. Like a little bit of pushing and pulling, try and get the sort of exposure right and sort of just a few little tweaks. The sky's doing some great things. Now, the bit where I was hoping to sort of head up towards sort of Flumber end, I don't think that's going to work because the sky sort of, it's lost its bit. So you've got this lovely sort of bright line on the horizon, so I don't think that's going to work, but this works quite nicely. There's a few other shots I'm going to try and get. Very, very minimal, very, very sort of just the smooth sea, the smooth sky, try and sort of set it up now. I'm running sort of 10 stop filter on there with the polarizer, so it's giving me an easy 60-second exposure at ISO 200. It's not taxing anything at all, but it just means nice slow down pace, taking a snap, the odd sort of snap, just being really, really sort of relaxed about it. And I think they're actually coming out okay. But go get some more shots off, then we'll start moving a bit further down the beach. Yeah, hopefully you can see what I mean there by the line of the cloud. Clouds are beautiful, but it's just got that sort of nasty line on the horizon that sort of ruins the effect, unfortunately. But we'll take it as it is. So if I sort of pan you around what we can see, you can see the cloud then sort of does its nice little thing right against the horizon. As you can see, they're really quite nice and moody. So hopefully get a few shots off here as well. Some lovely minimal stuff, just using the clouds for a bit of fun. So we're getting some great crashing waves now. It's working really quite nicely. They're not really moved very far at all. This groin's giving me quite a few different sort of options, little areas that are really sort of starting to show quite nicely. I mean, if I just flip you around, it's still the same sort of shot that I was shooting before, but I've just come a little bit further over. Same sort of thing. I'm running the 10 stop on it with the polarizer. Polarizer just taking that little bit of sheen off the water, just giving it a little bit more detail. So nothing too spectacular, but nice 16 benign crop, loose part of the beach that you've got going on in the foreground, and just making it quite pretty. Hopefully these are all coming out quite nicely, but I'll blast a few images up at the end so you can actually have a look at it. My theory about using the 60-second exposure is the fact that you're getting just that little tiny bit of movement in the sky. It's not massive, but it's enough to actually give it a little bit of detail and sort of just blend it that little bit. I think it works fairly well. Like I said, I may do a couple of colour edits as well from this. We'll see what sort of takes me fancy when I get back home, but definitely we've got some great little sort of setup just here. We can get the camera to move over. There we go. So that, with the waves crashing down, it's working really, really nicely for us. But go have a wander around some other bits, see what other extras we can sort of find, and I'll pop a gallery up now. But hopefully you enjoy this little bit and show you, sort of a bit more of the bits that I see as I'm sort of scouting out with sort of the shots that you've seen earlier. But from what is quite a nice little setup in Hornsea in East Yorkshire. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.